Welcome to episode 62 of our board gaming podcast, A Master's Degree in Rolling Terribly. I'm your host, Detty. Joining me this week, a man who's starting to really get the hang of his prism as he effortlessly switches modes, blows up monsters, and blocks Mark. All in his efforts to complete his mind melt quest of playing an effective prism. And as a reward, Gaz, and only Gaz, gain 3 morale. Say thanks, Gaz.
Thanks, Gaz. Well, my bucket now is overflowing, so I appreciate that. And
It's more than overflowing.
to quote the great words of the Han Solo, it's not my fault. I blame my robots.
Look, you talking about the blocking thing?
Yeah.
It's 100% your fault.
No, it's not. They move themselves. I can't control them.
You chose to bring out 4 pets in the last scenario.
3. One of them was me.
Oh, okay. So you individually can't block people, is that what I'm hearing?
Well, 100% of Mark was blocked by himself, right? Like if he had multiple minis, then only half of them would have been blocked. So it's actually kind of his fault for not having more minis.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I get that. What did we do this week? So this week, last week I should say, sorry. There's something I need to say. So if you're a YouTube listener, you will have missed potentially the amDirt chats that we had last week. We didn't actually have an episode. We had an amDirt chats episode. It was our 3rd one. We invited Iron and Wine, who was one of our early listeners and rules helpers, and it went onto our audio only feed. So this is available from Spotify, and I think it might be available on YouTube Music. But it didn't appear on YouTube for anyone who's watching it that way. So if that's something you want to look into, in fact, all of our amDirt chats are on audio only, and that's with Dwarf, Weedy, and now Iron and Wine. They're good listens, so if you feel you missed out and you didn't know they exist, go back and have a listen to them, because yeah, they're really fun to do, and we're looking forward to recording more in the future.
And if you want to be on our chats, jump in the Discord, have a chat with us, and just let us know. It's actually surprisingly hard to find people who want to come and have a chat with us, and not that we're scary, but just I don't know, being on a podcast YouTube thing might be scary. So if that's your jam, and you've got some interesting things to say, and you want to be a part of it all, just hit us up with a message, and we can probably sort it out.
Yeah, they're audio, so you don't even have to be on video for them. It's just sit back. We can all sit in the nude where everyone's comfortable, and talk about our favorite game.
Yeah, that's it. I do really enjoy the non-video episodes as seldom as they are, because I can just like wear my hoodie and just like I remember like just being able to be like, oh, that's fine. I don't have to have all these lights on and stuff like that. So
Yeah, no pressure.
no pressure. Well, a
little bit of pressure. Yeah. We also released, I released it a Buttons and Bugs unboxing. So we finally got our version of Buttons and Bugs. I unboxed it, made a video for that, and I've already gone through 2 scenarios of that. Those are all on YouTube. It's like they're 15 minutes long. It's me really talking through kind of how I'm playing it and what's happening and discovering a lot of the game as it goes, which has been really enjoyable. And I'm looking forward to tackling more of that. Will I record every scenario? Probably not, just because there is
you will. Yep.
There are 6 classes.
Yeah, I know. So, I mean, that just means you can keep playing phases, right?
Look.
Yep.
Maybe. Depends. If people want that, then I can do that.
100% of the people on this podcast who aren't you.
Okay. I'll record it for Gaz. All right. You better watch
it. In saying that, like, if you haven't played Buttons and Bugs, or you don't know what it's about, or you've never even heard of it, like, what are they talking about, right? Watch one of the videos, and they are only about 15 minutes, and you basically see how the whole game works. Like, it's the easiest way to learn how to play this thing is to watch one of these videos, because I haven't read the rules. I haven't gone through it. Surprise, surprise. But I haven't played around with it yet. But I watched the videos that you did, and I was just like, oh yeah, cool. I know how this works now. Like,
what did you think
of the game?
Yeah, I haven't actually asked you this, or we haven't actually talked about it. What did you think from watching it?
Yeah, it looks really cool. I like it. It looks like it's pretty much exactly what I thought it was going to be. I didn't know how the components worked, but it was like a little puzzle, right? Like a little Gloomhaven style puzzle. So yeah, I'm looking forward to when my copy arrives. But like again, I think that you could do a how to play on this, but it would go for 15 minutes and basically be what you're doing. So
I think if you're familiar with the Haven rule set, I guess you could watch one of these and and just see where the changes have come in. You know how the modified deck works because it's not a card deck anymore. It's the other thing. The smaller cards and the smaller hand size, but they flip over to a B side now. Little things like that. Yeah, I think it's quite easy to grasp.
Yeah. So that's worth a watch if you don't know what it is or you thought it wasn't for you. Watch it, and if you don't like the videos and what you're seeing, then you know it's not for you. But you might like them, and then you know it is. So there you
And
go.
it's like 30 plus bucks. I mean, that's AUD, so I
It
don't know
doesn't
what
exist
like.
anywhere. That's the problem with getting it. It's not the cost,
Ah,
right? Like,
okay, that's fair.
but yes, but you can order it now so that you can be next in line to get it.
I like that.
We are not sponsored by Buttons and Bugs here, so
No,
I don't know why we're,
no.
we're promoting it so much. But yeah,
Everything I have done on this pod and everything I have paid for myself, I have not been provided with anything.
yeah, that's it.
Game Mania 6 is around the corner, guys. It's
Oh,
literally 2 weeks away. We did this
2 weeks.
last year. Oh, we've done it six years now. This will be the 6th year. What are you looking forward to? What are we playing?
Oh, like what? 8-player TI,
We are
apparently?
playing an 8-player Twilight Imperium. We have never done that before.
No.
We may never come back because we'll still be playing it, but who
Yeah.
knows?
I'm secretly hoping that it ends in like 3 hours because someone gets left unchecked and we can say that we played an 8-player TI, but it didn't go for 16 hours.
Yeah, that won't happen.
It
Our
could.
group looks at our group looks at every single person and what they can and can't do, and then vocalizes that so that it just becomes a block, a big giant cock block.
Nah, it ends up being everyone going like, someone needs to stop Mangy. Someone needs to stop Mangy. Oh God, guys, nobody stopped Mangy. And then Mangy's like, okay, I'll win.
Yeah,
So,
no, that's very true.
but yeah,
For anyone that's not
that's
sure,
fun.
Game Mania is a yearly. Sorry, it's a yearly event that we organize a Airbnb and we bring a whole bunch of games and we stay for about 3 nights. So we've got like a whole long weekend and we just essentially sleep and play games. That's basically it. And
That's
all have a big catch up. And there's
all good.
about anywhere between 8 to 10 of us board games, yeah,
Yeah, that's
that
good fun.
go. And I highly recommend people do that.
Do that with their own friends.
Yeah.
We'll come to ours.
Oh, they can come to ours. There's no
Yeah,
problem there. It's more like organize a weekend away with your mates and
yeah.
take a bunch of games. It's so good to just
Yeah,
get everyone out of the house.
that's it. Even if you've only got 2 or 3 like board game friends that you want to play games with, right? Like, yeah, just organize a small thing for a day or two and get away and play some games. It's good fun, especially if you're, you know, got family kind of like life and all that, where you don't get a lot of time to do it. It's good to just be able to switch off and just be like, yeah,
Yeah.
games.
And it's even better when I get to tell work colleagues and all that what you do. And I said, oh, I went to Game Mania. And they're like, how was it? And I'm like, yeah, it was like 8 of us. It was 8 dudes in a house playing board games. And they're like, wait, what? You did that all weekend? I was like, yeah, it was insane.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. So no, it's good fun. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. And I don't know, there's always new games that you bring. Now Phil comes and Phil brings games. Like he introduced us to a couple of games that were really fun. Like car racing game and that pirates game that I gave 6 out of 6 turtles to, which again I'm looking forward to playing it. But I don't know, it's just cool. Like I love learning new games. You guys have like such a high threshold for what games you get. So I never really get presented with garbage games, right? Like, oh, I just found this and I don't know if it's any good, so let's give it a go. Like that's just not going to happen. So we're only playing the highly recommended games, which is great. So yeah, it's always good fun. And it's a good group
Mm,
of people, it's just cash. So yeah.
yep. Perfect. Let's play some Guards of Atlantis and some Unfathomable. And then towards the end of the weekend, everyone's going to watch me play Buttons and Bugs, all 7 of you.
Yeah. Well, but has Dwarf finished the rules for 8-player buttons and bugs yet?
No, he's up to 3, I think.
Okay, all right. All right. Got him up to 3. Yep, cool.
Yeah. On today's episode, we're going to be covering Scenario 79, Relic. It's just called Relic. Oh,
I,
okay.
I
Guess it's
remember
not like
I
that.
remember this scenario, which is a change, right? But I have A, no idea why we're here. B, like did we choose it because Pokemon Mastery?
Yeah, that was
Okay.
one of the reasons. And also, I believe it has another one following it.
It's a time gated one or just
Potentially, yeah.
yeah.
I think it might be time gated.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was more like, oh, we'll just get rid of time gated ones. I'll see if I can tick off multiple things to please people. That was it.
Yeah. Is it a side scenario or a
It is
job
a
posting?
job posting.
Hey, first job posting. Look out.
Mm.
If you don't know what that is, keep playing the game.
Yes, it's a thing
Re-
tied behind.
retire retire your characters.
Yeah,
You have
it's
to
yeah.
do it.
We're also going to cover the scenario dot system. So, scenario 79, which I've written 62 here, but that's because 62 is the episode number. We had a road event. Guys, what was our road event?
We had to do things with some people.
Yeah,
And we
we
had
didn't
options.
actually. Nah, nothing like that. We are in winter. So, this was our first winter for year 3.
Oh, I remember it
So, we
now.
had a
I
winter
remember
road
it.
event. Yeah. We had one that I was convinced we'd had before, and I'm wondering whether or not someone can correct me. We had winter road event 9, number 909. And I swear we've had it before, just based on the options that were there. And I'm wondering whether or not this is like a berry one where 2 almost identical cards go into the deck from Gloomhaven, and you can get different results depending on which one you draw. But upon resolving this particular one, it turned out what we hadn't actually seen this one yet. So I don't know if I've dreamt having this one already before. Was
Is
it
it
only
just
familiar to me?
no, it was familiar when you were kind of reading it. Not I think not as familiar as you were like, oh my god, we've been here before. It's like, whoa, slow down. I mean, maybe something looks familiar, but like maybe it was a summer one. And we were in the
Maybe.
forest doing a similar thing, like you hear a commotion and see some blood, go track some things. I
Yeah.
remember doing that. Um, so maybe it's just a similar one.
It was essentially a split path one.
Mm.
There was a fight or a scuffle or something, and there's like blood trail going one way and like broken branches and debris and all that going the other way. And you just had to pick which direction you wanted to
Mhm.
investigate. And Gaz likes following blood trails.
Well, I always go left.
That's right. That's your law.
Always
Gaz's
go
law.
left.
Always go left.
Always go left.
We did that. It was fine, and we got some material resources, and it was really uneventful, which is fine. Look, it's one of the original 20 that will go into the deck, so
No,
it's
didn't
not going to
we
be
find some
amazing.
lost children as well?
Um,
And if we were successful with the scenario, then we got to get more morale for returning.
no, that was the other outcome.
I thought we did both.
No, the top one just basically says if we pick A, if we go down the bloody path, right, we find a
Yeah.
polar bear that's dying or whatever. We gain 2 collective hide.
Uh,
If not, and we had resourceful, we recognize a plant nearby, and then it says read outcome B, which then leads to
okay.
the children kind of thing and the morale thing. I don't know. It was very confusing.
Yeah. Either way, it was crap because we got morale. Well,
It
we,
was
we
crap.
we didn't get morale, but that was one of the options because it's
Yeah,
always an option.
yeah. It was a bow. Not a fan.
No.
Scenario 79, Relic. This was designed by Petri Hakkinen and Antti T. Honen. I've butchered both of those. That's fine. I then Googled both of these people to just pay some homage to who they are. And I don't know who they are. But I'm going to shout them out here because, yeah. So there you go. Thank you. Thank you for designing this scenario because we've gone back into random side ones and job ones where they're designed by other people. So the way we got to this was through a building, and now that we've finished the main 3 quest lines, it's kind of like, what do we do now? Job postings.
Mm.
All the things that they've been spamming us with. We've got a million of them, little side quests. So we're going to start clearing them out. And like Gaz said, we picked this one because it was time gated for the following one, and because there's Pokemon in there, and yeah, why not? Scenario goal. The scenario goal for scenario 79 is it's complete when the sled enters any A tile. At the end of that round, we read a thing. Scenario effect, there is none. Special rules. Any character adjacent to the sled can discard a top or a bottom action. By putting it in your discard, you're foregoing the action. To move the sled in any direction, which has to go in a straight line of hexes, until the path is blocked by a figure, wall, or obstacle. If the path is blocked by a figure, the figure will suffer damage equal to the number of hexes that the sled moved. The sled destroys any traps in hexes it enters. There is door number 1, which is locked, and it will open when any character enters a pressure plate on the board. Our challenge cards were Hardy stock. All enemies add L, which is the scenario level, divided by 2 rounded up to their max HP value. This was really interesting because it increased everyone's health by 2. And we had Fight Fair. Whenever any character kills an enemy, that character gains all negative conditions that the enemy had when it died. That was amusing for mostly me. Our pets was Stu the Forest Imp and What Dog the Black Imp. It was an imp duo. It's maybe the first time we've had the imp duo. Monster combinations, we had Frozen Corpse, Ice Wraiths, Polar Bears, and Snow Imps. Basically, first room setup, there's a large tile connected to a small hex tile, so we have the 2 together. The sled is on the small hex tile with our spawn locations all the way around it. 7 Snow Imps, and for some reason, there are 2 Ice Wraiths in the far corner. It's a large map littered with obstacles, and in the center is a pressure plate, which will open a nearby door. Initial thoughts, Gaz?
Yeah, it looked really cool. Like, we're going to have heaps of stuff to fight. We haven't seen Frost Imps in a while, so we've forgotten that we hate them. And I was like, yeah, let's fight some Frost Imps.
It has been a real long time.
Snow Imps? Snow Imps, sorry. Snow Imps. Yeah, so it was kind of excited, although they had 2 extra health, so they weren't as squishy as they normally are.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just looked like a fun room. There was plenty of stuff to do.
Yeah.
I think without going too far into it, I think that very quickly changed as soon as the enemies drew their first card and we all looked at what was going to happen. And I was just like, oh, yeah, that's why we hate Snow Imps. All right, cool. So that went downhill. But no, it looked fine from that point. I did think that it was going to be a long scenario. Like,
Yeah, okay.
I even though I ended up, I think you said it in the intro, ended up getting 4 pets out total, including the one I started with. So I kind of played 3. I still went, okay, I can do that. I just have to be really protective of them and kind of be smart with my cards. But I had a feeling there was going to be a few rooms. I don't know. I just thought it was potentially going to get fiddly with kicking the card around, the sled. And those ones can all sometimes be a bit weird where you go, oh, yeah, we're doing really well. It's like, oh, wait, we stuffed this up. Now we have to spend 3 turns to like rejig where this thing's going.
Yeah.
And those are the cases where you go, oh, that's where it can, can really burn you. So
Yeah. Because reminder, we actually don't know the whole map layout or how many rooms, etc. So we kind of
are we supposed to?
Yeah.
Like, is it an amDirt rule that we don't?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. We're using Frosthaven Scenario Viewer to explore the map. So that's why we don't know what's in any room and how. Like, you generally don't know. You know where each room will go and what the tile is. You can see the whole map. You just don't know where everything is.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's handy for knowing how big the scenario potentially will be. That's kind of it. We just don't know. The sled, now the tile that's used for the sled is actually a metal cupboard. I don't know why they couldn't print a sled token. I suppose it's the only one. I don't know why they picked that. So it became like a fridge, and we're kicking a fridge around because we did this similar scenario with the couch moving one. And that one, because one, it makes sense actually. Thematically, it makes sense because couch, you can't kick across a room. A fridge has those little flat slidey bits. And I think you can kick a fridge across a room, but it goes in a straight line.
Yeah.
So it actually makes perfect thematic sense
Sure.
that we're moving a fridge now.
Yep, sure. Whatever, I'll pay that.
Yeah. The added
Have
health
these
thing.
visions of you walking into your kitchen, just like kung fu kicking your fridge and expecting it to fly across the room.
Yeah, well, no one really does that because everyone's fridge is in a little cubby, right? It's in the fridge
reason.
cubby.
Yeah, that's the reason nobody kicks their fridges, because they're in a little fridge cubby. Yep.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, sorry, my thing just went all weird, but it's okay. The added health, by the way, from the challenge card, that was, I think, a good choice because I went into this as a job posting side scenario. It's going to be easier, at least in my head it was. So do we increase the difficulty? And we talked about this ages ago when we were talking about difficulty increase. This kind of did it for us without us having to increase the difficulty. We complete a challenge and it'll just buff their health up by a little bit. And we didn't see, because that was my biggest fear, was that there were snow imps everywhere, amazing, and then they'll all just blow up in 2 seconds, and I'll be like, oh, okay, next room. So I think it was actually a good number of, and none of us, and with the conditions one, with Fight Fair, whenever any, yeah, how many conditions do we put on stuff?
None. Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's not like we're playing with shackles or anything like that. So I'm going to go through some notes and we'll have a discussion about kind of what we saw. So we had to chat about who's moving the fridge. This is an original thing. Who's going to move this fridge? Because you have to use up an action, right, to do this. Potentially there's damage in there because if you kick it far enough, it's going to book something, which is pretty cool. I wanted to ask you a quick question. We've been playing for ages and we played with different characters. Do you know right now with our current party composition what our first round setup looks like? Because we used to know what prep looks like. Your Coral was gonna do nothing and create light and dark.
Mm.
You know, what was it? Deathwalker's gonna do nothing and prep getting ready for tokens and all that. Same thing with the Drifter. Right now, I still don't know what that setup looks like. I know what.
What do you mean?
You do?
Yeah. Well, Mark will play the mountain card, which is.
Is that a top?
No, it's bottom. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Oh, maybe it is a top. He tends to not do anything. We have 3 people that tend to not do anything on round 1.
Okay, that's
Right.
okay.
Because you put out, is it quench rage?
I quench rage early, yeah.
That's a bottom, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So that's why you don't move, but you can attack something if there's something within range.
Within
right?
range.
Yeah.
I want something in range to create fire.
Yeah. I think Phil puts up something so that he can get his steam up if he does things, right?
Yeah.
But he usually, actually, yeah, you're right. He usually does do something.
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't think maybe mountain one's a top.
Yeah, I think it
and
might
so
be.
that's why he can move, but he can't really attack. So
Yeah. Okay. I was just
Yeah.
curious because at the very start, when I pop quenched rage and I do my first attack, it's usually if there's enough things there, I want to unload with magma orbs to then hit as many things, and that's usually where I pop a power potion and stuff. But a lot of the times, what's funny is I wanted to do that this time, and the Snow Imps pulled their card, and it was Poison Brittle within range 3. And if any element is up, I think it was any element, or was it fire? I can't remember.
Any.
They were going to add target.
Mm.
And you told me not to make the fire.
Oh, I didn't. Hang on. I was just like, hey, do you need to make the fire? And you were like, yes. I was like, okay. Oh, well,
Oh, I didn't.
Well, no, but we found out afterwards you didn't. Like,
yeah, look,
you
I had tunnel
do
vision.
have to make the fire if you use the ability, but I just assumed that it was tied to a key card. You're like, no, this is my prep.
Yeah.
I have to do this, and I was like, yeah, that's fine. Like, you do you, right? Like, you need to play these cards. We'll cop it. But then it was like later in the turn when it was like your fire. What was it like? An attack 1, 2?
Yeah, well, because of quenched rage, it took up the first tick of that. So whatever I was attacking, it went down in damage anyway. And I put the fire up, which is what I wanted, only for it me. And I went in knowing you even said it to me that the fire was going to disappear. And what's worse is we were swarmed by these snow imps who were then adding target.
Yeah.
That one decision, because I went all "don't tell me what to do," caused everyone to be like brittled and poisoned.
Yeah. Although that's what was the funniest part of that was later in the turn or the next turn, we like, oh, my fire's gone. It's like, yes, we talked about this. Literally, as soon as they drew their cards, like if you make fire, it's going to get eaten. So it wasn't even so much that you needed to create it to use your ability. You actually somehow expected it to still be there later on.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, all right, that's fine. Yeah, sure. we'll deal. So
Yeah. So it was a very awkward beginning because I single-handedly helped everyone get brittled and attacked and poisoned. I just wanted to make this scenario slightly more difficult.
Yeah.
It's a Detty challenge card or modifier. That's all. I'm
Look,
helping
again,
the
at the
enemy.
end of the day, like this is the thing with these scenarios. Like, unless it's a escape one, it's fine. Like, you do your cards and the things happen. You don't want to deliberately cause heaps of damage, but like, if you're gonna play a card to get fire, play it. But just don't expect the fire to be there when you know the creature is about to eat it. That was so. But I think Phil did with his drill managed to remove, like, not end up poisoned because he's got a thing that stops him from getting poisoned.
That's right.
We stacked him a little bit on Mark because he was going to heal them off at the start of his turn. So I think all up, it wasn't that bad. Like we managed to get rid of most of the status effects and kind of end up not having that for when the ice rates came in and decided to like absolutely smack someone. Like,
Mm,
oh, lucky you didn't have brittle
yeah.
and poison
And
still. So yeah.
that and we had stews too as well to help unbrittle and poison us if things got a bit nasty.
Mm.
But yeah, we had a whole bunch of snow imps in there. So Mark goes in and decides to do Perry Piper to himself because he wants to land a giant AoE clap slam thing. At the same time, I land a schlong. We had a lot of AoE. It was carnage. This is also a situation where Gaz learns that his pets can block where people want to go. I think he blocked Phil, and I think he might have blocked Mark. I'm not too sure, but there was a lot of occasionally like Gaz goes first, therefore the pets go first. They move into position. Oh, I was gonna go there. We had like more so than normal.
Well, this was another one where we worked out, was it the first turn or the second turn? I don't know if it was this scenario or it was last scenario, which that would have been 2 weeks ago. So it probably was this week. Whereas like, okay, wait, our communication has gone down the toilet.
Oh yeah,
Like it was a turn or two turns where everyone was kind of saying what they were doing in some vague way, but then everyone was just like, "Oh, what are you doing? You're going there." And like, "Yeah, that's what I said." I'm like, "Well, you didn't really. You said I'm attacking, right?" Or I don't know. It was really weird, and so
it
I feel
was.
like we were all getting kind of in each other's way in a sense, and doing some weird stuff. And it's like, well, is it because there's no banner spear here? Like, I feel like the banner spear was like that social butterfly in the group that like forces everybody to come and talk to each other. Whereas that now the banner spear is gone, it was like, oh, we'll just look at our cards and play a solo game right here, right? Like,
It's a good point. It's a really good point actually. The Bannister was the main reason that we needed to communicate more than normal. But you're right. I do remember that point during the table where you did say, "Hey, what's going on with that communication?" As we are just like elbowing each other to try and get in the right position. Yeah, it was a bit of a mess.
it
Um,
was, which is weird. And the funny thing is, was playing the banner spear is that I felt like everyone was super accommodating. Like most turns, there was at least one person, if not two people, of like, "Hey, where do you need me?" Right? Like, and they were basing their turns around where, if I needed them to go somewhere to use a formation, which was awesome because it really made playing the character substantially easy because you didn't have to fight with people. But I feel like that's still a thing we could be doing, right? Like,
mm,
hey, does anybody need this spot? Or hey, does anybody need me to do something? Right?
yeah,
So yeah. Anyway, it's interesting.
it is interesting. The evolution of the party. So we basically destroy absolutely everything because it becomes an absolute massacre. All right, snow imps just can't handle anything, and they didn't pull that early card with I think that 5 card that heals them and gives them a shield or something stupid like that. The ice rates as well. I think I've got a quenched rage hit in there, and Phil I think also has like an attack 9 or something stupid. Like everything died, and then it was a matter of getting this ping ponging this fridge around. And what's really cool about it, the mechanic I guess is that the fridge only moves in a straight line
Mm.
when you get rid of it. So you kind of there's a lot of planning around looking at where all the obstacles are actually littered around. And because Phil and I have ways to destroy the obstacles, or in my case, make new ones, you can kind of remap a more efficient way of getting this with less movement, less card abilities to do it. So that was really cool. So anyway, we organized it. Phil went and stood on the pressure plate. We ping ponged it towards the door, and we revealed the next room. And we have a long bendy corridor, and an extra like there's an extra room attached to it, which is like nice and narrow. And we have, and there'll be photos on YouTube that I will usually put up here with these. And we had frozen corpses, which was really cool to see. I'm actually quite pleased at the mob listing in here because it's a long time since we've seen a few of these,
Mm.
which is really cool. So we had frozen corpses guarding a chest. There were 2 ice raids and a snow imp. And in the very middle of the room, there was an annoying overrun barricade that was blocking kind of half the room. And there was a little ice terrain also everywhere. And there's a trap and I believe 2 pillars at the very end. And there was a new special rule for us, which was if the sled moves at least 1 hex and is blocked by either of the ice pillars, it destroys that ice pillar.
Mm.
And then when any of the ice pillars are destroyed, you read the next room, read the next section.
Yeah.
And yeah, this was a cool room to bottleneck it up.
Yeah, it was pretty it was a very clustered and full, and it didn't help that I was bringing 3 extra minis into the thing. So I was trying to maneuver them around where I could, but because it was so cluttered, like, one of the 3 I had there was one that has jump, move 5 jump, and even it
Oh,
couldn't get in
legs.
there because, like,
Yeah.
it was just not enough space even at the back. So, yeah, it was a bit shit, but I don't know. Look, at the end of the day, it wasn't all that hard, and, we kinda destroyed everything in there pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well,
did you was it you or Phil that destroyed the obstacle?
Phil did.
Yeah, that was super
Because
helpful.
I kicked the fridge down one side, and that kind of effectively blocked off one side. So there was out of a 3 tile width, there was only one that was free.
Mm.
And then you got ice raids down the end who were flying and don't care anyway, and they're ranged attacks. And then you had all the frozen corpse who were lining up to the Gaz show because I think your little Tesla coil thing was destroying things, and then eventually no one could get through. So Phil cracked the shits, and he blew up the barricade, and it was great. It was
Mm.
great because we could actually walk around and do stuff again.
I think at this stage as well, a lot of the fun was coming out of, like, mostly that point and slightly after that, was coming out of a battle goal that you had and,
Mm.
how I was able to help you achieve your battle goal.
Yep.
Do you remember what battle goal it was?
Yeah, I do. It's masochist, and it requires me to finish the scenario. Oh, sorry for the to have. Let me read it. 3 or in the scenario with hit point value of 3 or less. And I announced this, not so much word for word. I just said, hey, I just need to take a little bit more damage.
Mm.
And Gaz sees this as his cue to heal me and help me a lot.
It wasn't my fault. It was like my little helpful robot, which you're usually really, really glad about. You're like, "Ooh, thanks for the little healing, like flying healing drone." And then it kind of comes up. It's like, "Hey, rock guy who always wants my healing. I've got a little bit of healing," and you're like, "No, get away!" It's like it's just mixed messages, mate. Like it's so confusing. It was helping, and you were
Yeah,
like, "Oh no, no,
yeah, we had to
don't want
actually
any of that healing."
look up the AI of how it healed, right? And whether or not you had any control over it at all, which you would normally if you played a like you long rested or you
Yeah, the
play
horn.
your thing.
Yeah, I
The
think there was
horn,
a turn
yeah.
where I assume we can, yeah, the horn I think works because it says you get to control all of its abilities, and that would be
Mm.
one of them. But yeah, I had to ask in the Discord just quickly, how does summon heal work? Because we haven't really had anything like this before.
Enemies we have with the priests
Yeah, the enemies,
and
yeah,
other people.
but we've messed up the monster AI so many times that I don't know what the right rules are. So, but yeah, anyway, now we're clearer on the healing rules, and yeah, it was good.
Yeah, because it was mostly healing Mark for the longest time until the end, where it was like, "Hey, you've got a bigger gap between your lower and
Yeah,
your
Mark
higher.
Mark was
We're
fine.
gonna heal
Could
you
have healed
up."
him
And
up.
Mark was fine. Yeah, exactly. So I
Like,
demand that we boot the fridge into me. I needed anything. There was a trap there, which I don't think I took because I think we booted the fridge through it and it destroyed the trap. And we booted into me for a little bit of damage, and I'm sort of hovering between 5 and 7 health, and getting mini healed by this drone, which is really annoying. And then there was a bit where we managed to, because we booted into me, the fridge ended up next to the ice pillar. And we were like, how's this work? Do we boot it through the thing? But then we had to reread the special rules, and it's like, if you move, you have to move it 1 hex. So we had this weird, awkward thing where we had to reverse the fridge back so that we could boot it back into into the thing again. It was like 2 extra turns. Um, and meanwhile, while all this is happening, our mate Phil has said, fuck this. And he went to get the chest. And he loots three loot cards. Then he continued to say, fuck this. And he was going to go backtrack all the way to the beginning and pick up all the loot that we've left behind. Because we actually have one check mark left on our ancient coin.
yeah.
All the little sections. One of them we haven't done yet. So it was like, well, as soon as we loot it, we're guaranteed to finish that off. So we need to actually get it. So Phil decided to take it upon himself to do that.
Hmm.
All right. Due to the fridge kick, we now have access to the last room. And obviously the last room has 3 polar bears in it.
It's what last
Um,
rooms are all about. Polar bears. They're the last boss.
yes. It was, if it wasn't for the obvious fact that we know what monsters are in the list, and X-Haven helps us out with that. Yeah, 3 polar bears, a trap, and a single loop. And it also has the fridge escape tiles. They specifically say fridge escape tiles.
Is that
And
so do you think that was like a little fridge cubby? Is that what it was? Like,
oh yeah, it was like 4 fridge cubbies.
yeah. So it's like we're moving house. We've already moved the couch, and now someone's like, "Oh, can you help me move my fridge?" I'm like,
Mm.
"Yeah, okay." Oh, turns out, sorry, my house is filled with obstacles and monsters.
And 3
Um,
polar bears.
and three polar bears right in front of, like, hey, I've just got the fridge through this blocked door, which I had to break down with the fridge. I'm about to get it. Why did you put three polar bears in the way? Like, I thought, don't you need my help?
Yeah, real inconvenient.
Yeah.
So the polar bears head towards me, and I'm like, please hurt me. I'm pretty sure one missed. It was like one of those funny
It,
missed moments.
and then they pulled their shield retaliate card.
Yeah, yeah, which was good because I got to hit it, right?
Good to hit it, yeah, but it was still funny that they didn't get hit you.
No. So I played Hardened Spike, which is also a card that damages me for this round and the following 2 rounds. So I could work this. And I had my only thing I was fighting ultimately was Gaz's drone, who was just trying its absolute hardest to keep me up. And I was saying to Gaz, can you transfer into your drone? And he's like, no. Like, I can't. I'm like, okay, that's completely fine. It was only slightly annoying because all I wanted to complete my battle goal.
Well, not
Anyway.
fun. I wouldn't. I didn't need to.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. So I do finally hit 3 health. And then I exhaust from an attack. I can't remember the specifics, but I do end up exhausting. And I, instead of negating, I take the attack, whatever it is, and I accept my exhaustion. So I'm out. I completed my battle goal. I just need the boys to finish the scenario and get the fridge in the cubby.
Mm.
Now, Gaz.
I died.
No, before then.
Oh.
Before then, you did some weird combination of stuff. It was like an alt that I don't think we've seen before, and you absolutely mess the polar bears up.
Did I?
And I'm not too sure what happened. Yeah, yeah. Your pets were going nuts, and you did something, and you absolutely blew them all up.
I suppose it's a combination of attacking and transferring. I think there's
Yeah.
sometimes you can luck out with getting a transfer on a like
AMD?
a pet attack. Yeah, AMD to for a pet that is earlier in the run, so it puts one that you were in into the kind of chain, so you can't get an extra attack that way.
Mm.
Yeah, I think I just drew well as well. So, I mean, polar bears
No,
don't have shields, so when a little like healing robot is attacking for one, it's actually doing damage. Um,
it adds up.
yeah, yeah. So
But yes, you do exhaust.
I do
And
it.
then Gaz and I sit back and have tea and crumpets. Now, we have Mark on fridge duty and Phil on loot duty. So far, he's looted most of the loot tokens, and we still have no ancient coin. In fact, we then count the loot deck on Xhaven and then the loot tokens. And there's one less loot token than there is card. So we have 4 loot cards left to pick up, and only 3 areas that are left to get. That one, and that one. And we still need the very last ancient coin thing. So if we find it, we mark it off and we're done. But there's only 3 tokens left and 4 loot cards remaining in the deck.
So if we don't get it, it's Phil's fault.
So we've essentially finished the scenario over here, and now Phil's run all the way back here, and we suspect it's that one right there. So, which means if it's the last loot card, we actually can't get it. Right? Mark is convinced it's the first loot tile back at spawn. He says, it's this one over here. Now, obviously, that's not how the game works, but he was convinced it was that. Right? He says it's 100% this token over here, right near where we spawned.
For our only hope. Move 3. Here it is. We've got a feeling about this one. Ready? Yeah, do it. Metal. It's in there, right? Fuck.
Oh,
2 more.
it'd be so funny if it wasn't in there.
So Phil's now, because Mark's getting ready to get this fridge down, and we're waiting for Phil to pick up all the loot. And every time he does, it's like, you know, hearts in mouths kind of situations. We're wanting this so badly. And it's a medal. It's a coin. It's 3 coins. Oh dear. It's this and that. The actual last loot token.
And move 3. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. Here it is. Oh!
That was actually it.
The one back at spawn, he gets it. And we mark it off. And we read the section. And it makes us add another section. But we did it. We finally finished the second loot ancient coin thing. And we actually have all 4. I don't know what it means yet.
No.
Mark has photos of them.
Yeah, I
He's
think
gonna
he's in
sort
his
that,
lab
right?
at the moment.
Yeah.
So,
And then Mark Falcon punches the fridge into the a-hole and scenario complete.
yep, done. All done.
Our rewards were gain 3 morale.
It's a meme now, right?
Morale Haven.
I made the observation.
You can't make this up.
No, you can't. And so it must just be that every quest gives you morale forever. I was making the observation on the outpost phase tracker thing, right? That it's got, the numbers, 25 down to, I don't know, minus 25 or 0. I don't know what the thing is. I haven't seen that low ever on the tracker, so I don't know how it goes down. But anyway, you can see where I've written. And you can kind of see where it started, and it very quickly went to the top. And it's like it's worn out, but it's only like the top 3 or 4 numbers that are worn out. Like everything else is just pristine paper. Like it's almost never been used. And I'm like, like
Between
why
17 and 20 or something. It's
yeah,
like,
why did you make the tracker so big? You should have just made it 3 numbers. Like your morale is either 1, 2, or 3. Mostly 3. You can spend 1 morale to do this thing, but you will probably gain 3 morale at some point very soon. Yeah.
That's so true.
Anyway.
But we're not going to go down that path again. We'll wait a week. And
Yeah. So,
I did suggest to you actually to track the morale we've gained in surplus on a separate area.
Yeah.
And just let's just for science see how high we can take it.
we'd easily be at 1 million by now.
Okay.
Right.
It's a lot.
Getting close.
We got a new pet.
We did get a new pet.
We got a snow imp.
We did, and we spun that wheel of goodness.
We did. We spun the wheel, and we're introducing our new Pokemon to our stable. Ricewind.
Yay! Crowd goes
Ricewind.
wild noise.
Yeah. What?
Crowd goes not wild
Ah.
noise.
I thought you said Pokemon noise. So the snow imp pet in initiative order when we use it is all characters immediately perform a move 2, which I think is really good.
Well,
Probably one of the more useful ones.
if the system allowed you to choose the pet that you use when you came into the scenario,
Why do we keep saying that?
I think because it's a really good feedback for the developers. So in Gloomhaven 2.0, when you Pokemon your way through,
To not make them random.
yeah, not make them random. But yeah, it'd probably be okay. I think if you were doing an escape scenario, but I don't know. Stu, like what dog? What's the other one? Who's the forest imp? No, that's Stu.
Yeah.
What's
What
the
dog's the black
eel?
imp?
What's the
The
eel?
eel wart.
What? Yeah, they're 3 that are like always the best.
Yeah.
Getting a card back, getting 2 heals is always clutch, and then just being able to like randomly pull out extra damage when we need it. Like they're the things. Looting. I mean, I feel like
There's a
with
world where Piranha Pig, the loot one, like we just haven't seen it, but I reckon there'll be so many times it would actually be useful.
yeah, but useful. But I'd feel like it wouldn't be clutch. It would be like, oh, we got extra loot.
It would for a scenario where every loot token on the board does 1 pure damage to everyone. Yeah. See,
Yeah.
got you there.
Okay. Yeah. That's it. That's it. So yeah. Anyway, no, it's
What
cool.
are your thoughts on?
Cool having another pet.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on scenario 79?
Yeah, it was fine. Like I won't remember it. We maybe have made it more memorable by referring to the fridge a lot, and that will be by association remembered because of the couch episode. But it was fine. Like it was it was kind of like a kill all with a extra little thing you had to do, right? And I don't know. I think from a design perspective, this is what you want as your generic scenario, right?
Yeah.
The rules weren't that complicated. You didn't know what was going on, but you're gonna have to fiddle around with it and solve a mini puzzle, but not anything that's gonna really bog you down. like there's no AP going on, right? You're not going to sit around with 4 people going like, shit, let's take the night off and come back tomorrow, guys. Like when we figure this one out.
Mm.
The monster choices were fun. So yeah, it was probably a bit easy. But I mean, that's our fault. We can bump up the difficulty. We're just too scared.
Yeah. I liked it wasn't bad. Like you said, you won't remember it. Apart from the fridge thing. Meh category a little bit. Just a little bit. It was fine for what it was trying to do. I think the fridge mechanic was really cool. It reminded me of the couch thing again, but it took a different spin on it, which was quite welcomed. Actually, it's also like we've had 3 now. The giant block of ice as well.
That was
which
cool.
we've
Oh yeah.
So as long as they don't, they don't overstay their welcome and try and pump too many of them out, they're enjoyable when they're spread out like this to an extent. I would have liked just a touch of spice somewhere, whether it be just a little bit more maybe hazardous terrain somewhere, the ones that actually hurt all of us. Just something. Maybe a spawn, but who knows?
No, that would have been made way worse if it was a spawn.
Just a little spawn. Just a little
Just a
spawn.
little spawn. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's tricky because we've got a high level fist who is just wrecking shit. You're pumping out a fair amount of damage as well. I think me and Phil are kind of starting to ease into our classes a bit. And yeah, I mean, when you've got things like snow imps and things with low HP, I find that it can be really swingy if you just get some good turns out, you clear the board.
Mm,
When things are sitting in that 12 to 16 range, or if they've got 1 or 2 shields and you need to pump multiple attacks into them to kill them,
mm,
where you have bad RNG and you miss or you pull your minuses and suddenly it's instead of 2 attacks, it's 3 attacks or 4 attacks to clear it, that's when shit starts to get hectic. But I mean, the snow imps are going to die in 2 hits, right? Like even with the extra 2 health we gave them, they were just getting blown up. And I think when you clear most of the monsters that way, it's not that much of an issue. And the log
mm,
jam that happened in that second room wasn't really that bad because, like, the like, I I think that the Yetis, or what are they called? Frozen
frozen
corpses.
corpse.
Like, they are in line for in the bin, like the Earth Demons, right? Like, I like them from a design perspective, but they don't do anything. Like, their most successful messing us up and challenge was in the scenario where everyone got booted around anytime anyone got hit. Like
Mm,
that had nothing to do with them. They could have been a guard or an earth demon and it would have been just as bad, right?
yeah, that's true.
So I just find them really underwhelming. So coming into that second room, the difficulty didn't spike. I think that's probably the problem. It's like the first room was tricky because the snow imps kind of they did the multiple attacks and they can just be problematic in themselves.
Yeah, if
The
they
ice wraiths could
swarm.
be a pain, but we kind of dealt with them. And then we went to the next room and there was 2 ice wraiths, a couple of yetis that couldn't get to us, and it's like the biggest issue here is us getting in the way of each other as we want to like pump our damage meters. So
Yeah, it feels like it would have been better to swap the frozen corpses to the first room, maybe, so that they could have had more of an impact. Because they bottlenecked completely. If you throw ice wraiths in the second
yeah.
room and swap the 2 from the first, yeah, I think it might have been just that little bit of spice I may have needed.
Well, the Yetis in the front room as well, actually getting attacks on us also brings into play their immobilize, which would have been a pain.
Yes.
So I don't know. I think another big room might have been better than a small clogged room. Another big room. In a big room, you've kind of got to zigzag the fridge. You can't just kick it straight because
Yeah.
I mean, like popular belief, we use hexes, not squares. So so you would have had to zigzag it, and then you can fill it with obstacles so that it's getting stuck while the monsters are kind of coming forward. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's another way to do it. But yeah, that just makes it maybe too annoying. I don't know.
Mm.
Anyway, I enjoyed it.
How would
But
how
that might also be because I'm really enjoying my character.
nice? How would our squire mate? Would he enjoy it?
Yeah, I think he'd be fine.
He would be.
Yeah,
I
because
actually
we
think
cleared everything. Like we were way ahead of it. The only problem he would have is if on turn
the
1
initial
decided
ad
to hero.
target.
Yeah.
Yeah. Community wise, I didn't find really much on it. There was a question that I actually did consider, but I wasn't looking into it just yet. And then I happened to find it when I was looking into this scenario. Someone was wondering about the pushing the objective into a flying creature. Does it still consider to be, impactful or whatever? Because they can fly over obstacles anyway, and most terrain pieces. But yes, it just word for word, it does what it says on the tin. Yep. Ultimately, push it into a thing. If it comes in contact with a figure, it will cause that extra damage. Battle goals. Now, with the battle goals, obviously mine was Masochist, which I did get. One of the other ones was really, really important because Phil got his. Phil had Pincushion, which was to get attacked by at least 3 things in the one round. And the only reason he got that off was because I made fire.
Yeah.
So he revealed that right at the end.
Say anything at the time? Like, we were all trying to work out, because you can pick the second target, right? And we were trying to work out who it was, but he never once put his hand up saying, "Can I have 3 of these, please?" Like, he just let it go. And then
he may have if we called out someone else and he realized he wasn't going to get the 3rd.
Maybe. But, like, we're not shy of saying, hey, for reasons, can I do this really specific action at the moment? But yeah, anyway. Good job, Phil. Well done.
Yeah, Mark. Mark had Hunter. Kill 1 or more elite enemies or 2 or more for 4 characters. I think he also did that. I think the Snow Imps would have helped because there was a bunch of elite ones there.
But he's capped out on perks, so that means nothing.
I can't believe he's capped out on perks.
I know.
People getting capped out on perks is just, I struggle with these battle goals. And then, Gaz, you had Vanguard. Never attack an enemy that has already acted the round. You tracked that every round, didn't you?
Oh, I think I remembered halfway through the scenario and went like, whoops. Yeah, I probably failed. Like, I probably could have argued that I was successful and no one would have cared, but yeah.
Yeah, that's all right. You don't need perks either, so it's all right.
Yeah, not at all.
DPS. We had Mark on 30 damage. I'm trying to think of why.
He self damage?
Pardon?
Does that also include his self damage?
No, I don't think so. That'll be damage taken. So he did a lot of damage in that first room.
Yeah. Okay.
But after that, we were probably, it was hard to get to places.
Yeah.
Phil had 37. I had now Phil's on the drill, I should say that. I'm on the Meteor and I got 68. And Gaz with 75 takes top spot on the Prism. It's all coming together, Gaz.
For the first time. Yep.
Just
so
strategic.
I figured it out. If I just get my robots in everybody's way so that nobody else can do DPS, then it's all my DPS, right?
That's right. Very clever. Damage taken, I took 15. Gaz and Phil both took 18. Mark took 61. A lot. And then healing wise, I only healed 4 because I wanted to not heal, and it was a real struggle to make my health go down. Gaz healed for 15. Phil healed for 15. That's so weird. You and Phil took the exact same amount of damage and did the exact same amount of healing. And Mark healed for 57. So we're going to go into our outpost phase. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the outpost. Remember what we had? We had Winter Outpost at event 70. Now, we've finished the main... Yeah, we finished the main 3 quest lines. And it turns out that this particular one, I think there was some bunch of lurkers gathering outside Frosthaven. They've been out there all day. The swarm was growing and growing, and you stare grimly out, and then, a massive lurker emerges out, and they're all chittering and preparing to attack. And then a cry rings out from the gate below you, and you see an Inox youth. Right, he slips through the gate and dashes towards the approaching lurkers, brandishing a stick in one hand. Someone shouts at the gatekeeper next to you, "Open the gate and let that kid back inside." This does not qualify as everything's going right. Option A, stop the gatekeeper from opening the gate. Your chances are slim enough without inviting the lurkers inside. Or option B, run out and grab the kid. And this is where we question, what's happening, because once we made our decision, we turned it over, and then we realized it was an attack, and it was kind of like, well, lurkers attack. That shouldn't be happening.
No, because we're supposed to remove all the lurker cards, right?
That's right. But this one is different. This one doesn't have the symbol on it. I was curious about, well, I guess the option we didn't pick. Because we picked...
like, let him die.
Yeah, we chose to go out and get him.
Which somebody at the table called out, well, why are we doing this? We don't need more morale. And I was like, yeah, I know, but it just seems the right thing to do, right? Like... Why let the kid die when we don't need to?
I'm going to read to you option A.
Oh, no.
All right, what actually happens? It's pretty cool. You grab the arm of the guard who wasn't very enthusiastic about opening the gate anyway. You both look out at the Inox boy running into his doom. The child stops right in front of the monstrosity, which pauses and tilts its head at the boy as the boy holds out his stick. A claw that could snap a merchant's wagon in two moves towards the boy, then gingerly grips the offered end of the stick. The two stay that way for a moment, and then the lurker simply turns back and recedes into the water, followed by the swarm. The boy waves as he watches them depart, then walks back alone under the stunned stares of Frosthaven's guards. You run down to the boy, who simply shrugs and says, "That's Bumpy. We're friends from a long time ago."
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was more I wanted to tell you that because of, it's like a nostalgic thing
Yeah.
and something we did, but it's also really cool writing. And yeah, that's the
there
crowd that
any
retired the
way-
drifter.
Is there any way we are to know that? Like, was there anything in the flavor?
Um,
I'm not going to go down this path again, but I'm just dead curious because that is really, really cool, right? And I'm just wondering if there were any signposting to allow us to figure that out, or is that just random of like, no, you've got to want to make sure that Inox youths are murdered by crabs in order to discover that they're friends.
we would have to go back and read the Bumpy card from a while back because it does say the Inox boy runs out with the stick, right? I don't know if there's a connection there.
Yeah.
Or with it. And
The big in this card here, the big lurker doesn't come out until you've chosen a decision, right? Like,
no, he comes out. They do mention that.
what does he say?
So a massive lurker emerges from the waters. It's green and red head, as big as a lifeboat. I mean, it could be a color thing as well.
Yeah,
just
cool.
they're details that happened like last year.
Well, as you said, well, no, it is. It is this event where Bumpy came out is what retired your drifter. Your first
Correct.
character, the
Yes.
first character to retire, right? And now we're 10 characters deep. If there is a color match there, like again, I think this is really cool, like the connection there. I just don't know about like it kind of feels shit now that we did the thing we did. Well, for some reason they still attack, right? We're like, we ran out there and rescued the boy, and then they're like, oh, okay, fuck you, we're gonna kill you now.
Yeah,
Like-
we grab his collar.
Yeah.
We grab his collar, yank him back, and then the swarm. Basically, yeah, it's an attack, and we kill Bumpy. Basically,
Yeah, like because you didn't let me play stick with this kid, I'm gonna try and murder your whole town. Like, I don't know, it just seems off. Again, someone correct me in the Discord or wherever and tell me why we're wrong, and what we missed. And like I feel like what's that conspiracy? You know, the gif of the conspiracy dude with the. I feel like that's what we need to do to make sure that we understand this was Bumpy. And then, is there a reward? What's the reward?
and to morale.
It's not. Oh, what?
is.
As in for rescuing the kid?
Yep.
No, but what was the
No. For reuniting them, and then Bumpy leaves, and the kid's like, "Hey, it's Bumpy. We get 2 morale for that."
Really?
Oh, and we don't resolve the attack.
Yeah. So you get out of an attack, which is whatever. But okay, cool.
We actually got more from a resource point of view from the attack.
Yeah, we did, and one building got wrecked. Like,
Did it actually?
oh no, sorry, it got damaged, so we had to pay resources. But even including the cost of that, we still made resources out of the attack.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
So very cool. Outpost phase, I leveled up. Very quickly, I'm going to go through my 2 level 7 cards. One of them seems really busted, which is called Swelter.
Yeah, this is insane.
All right, Swelter is all enemies in the same room as you, the bottom of Swelter. Suffers damage equal to the number of hazardous tiles in the room, up to a maximum of 5 per any. I've only just thought about that right now. That wouldn't also include mine. It just says hazardous tiles.
Oh, it just says hazardous tiles. It's
Yeah.
not flame hazardous tiles.
No, it just says, I've just reread it and only just realized as I was reading it. They suffer damage equal to the number of hazardous tiles in the room, up to a maximum of 5 per enemy.
Cool.
So
I mean,
that
now
seems-
it is a burn card, right? So yeah. But is it a burn you can't draw back card? Does it have the no picky uppy symbol?
No.
Okay, so you could crack mirror or some other shenanigans this back in and just be like 2 turns in a row.
I haven't seen the crack mirror in a while. I think the crack mirror might have been level 1 only.
Oh, is it?
I don't know.
Okay. Cool.
We're really good at this.
Yeah.
But still.
But okay, yeah. So there is it's at least a burn, so you're only doing it once. But there
Yeah.
have been rooms we have been in several times that have been quite
Those-
large and had
Those
many,
big boss
many enemies.
ones. Yeah, where we stay in one room and it's a TD or something like that.
Yeah.
That would be that'd be
The
rather
other-
tasty.
The other thing as well, to your answer, Dwarf, unless you know the answer to this, is what defines a room? Is it tile or is it
I wondered that. Yeah.
because in the
I assume it's
tile?
like multiple tiles that are opened up, even if it's like 2 tiles together, but it's all open with corridors and whatnot. That's one room. Now, I could
Really?
be wrong. Well, because then it would say tile, right?
But then once you open a door, the door is gone, right?
I think it's a separate room.
But there's
Oh,
no door there.
yeah, okay. So it might be the actual
It's
room
got to be
tile.
tile. It's got to define room as tile, right? Like it can't. Otherwise,
If that's true, this makes this a lot shitter.
no, it
Uh,
doesn't.
Well, how many times is there a massive room that you're going to stay in?
Like all the time, we've spoken continuously how Frosthaven doesn't have doors, right? Like most scenarios are 2 or 3 rooms at most.
We'll see.
And yeah. So what we need to do, a new strat, right, is we need to zerg to the end, open all the doors, pull all the monsters back into one room, and then just have you ignite, and then have a thing where you get back that card and do it again. Deal 10 damage in 2 rounds to everything, pure damage. And we win.
Yeah, I think we should do that. Swelter, the top of it, was designated hex, right, containing a hazardous terrain tile within 4 range. And then you destroy the tile to perform an attack 3, targeting all enemies that are occupying or adjacent to the designated hex. Random room 5 symbol, pierce 2. And we were talking about this when we were looking at it. Now, since then, I have looked it up. And the range 5 symbol was there purely from a one of the devs, Themris. He said, we added the range 5 during development to make this a ranged attack ability. Without it, it would read like a melee attack. So I think it's more I understood when I read the thread. I'll have to reread it.
I see what you're saying. So yeah, the attack of the explosion on all the things. So you're picking the hazardous tile and then it's exploding and hitting everything. If you don't put the range in there, then it means that everything is getting hit by a melee attack. Right? Yeah.
Well, it will be anyway, right?
Well, not if there's the range symbol. Doesn't that make it a range attack?
But then if I'm designating the hex and it's exploding, then I'll have disadvantage on everything that's adjacent to it.
That's a really good question.
I think it's more if I'm blowing something up that's next to me, it would be considered to be the ones that are next to me are ranged. I don't know. We need some clarification.
I
'cause
like how
looked
you
this up.
looked this up.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
now we're discussing it.
yeah.
'Cause
But you have
I-
this ability to confuse me again.
Yeah. Well, no, it's only purely on what you said, right? If it's treated as a range attack,
Yeah.
then I feel like that has implications on advantage, disadvantage, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, cool. Good. Glad we're clearer on that one.
This is why I haven't picked it yet. I want to, but the other one is just an attack 4, push it, and I can push it into 1 hex obstacle tiles, and they blow up and they suffer hazardous terrain damage. All right, it's a initiative 70, and then the bottom of it is you create a 1 hex hazardous terrain in an adjacent empty hex, move 3, and then create another one. I'm putting this towards, I guess, our people in the community, Discord. What would you pick if you or me? I'm aiming towards Swelter, but I'm not a fan of troll votes, and that's why I'm not going to poll it. But wouldn't mind some clarification on kind of how these work, and then I don't have to look it up and get confused again. Therefore, I've got it written and set in stone in our Discord where I can reference it whenever I need it.
Yeah. I mean, I think we discussed this on the night. Like one of them seems good and like a good utility card that lets you make hazardous terrain, right? And the
Yeah.
other one seems like do a ridiculous amount of damage until you burn the card and then do even more damage.
Well, that one we were talking about, that top one from Swelter, it doesn't have a loss symbol, so it's like it's got an XP on there as well, which I do like.
Yeah. That's what I
Designated
mean.
hex
Like
and
you
just
use that 2
blow
or
it up.
3 times in a scenario, or you just pick I guess actually, okay, so that's probably where the limitation is, right? Like if we take the last scenario we just did, that big room at the start is at the start. So are you burning a card? So I guess that's probably where the limitation is that you need to know that the big room you're going to use it in is the last room or towards the end. Because, I mean, you potentially do want to burn a card on turn 2 or 3, but if you're going to deal a shitload of damage, but then you don't get access to the top.
No,
So maybe that's where it
I
is.
would 100% use it on the previous scenario at the beginning because I used Igneous Path, which put and I used that with something else to put the 4 hazardous terrain things down. And I would just need an extra 1, which I can probably make from turn 1, and then I would be able to like straight like that to the bottom of Swelter. Now, yes, I would lose 2 cards because Igneous Path is also a lost card, and this is a lost card. But I think the tempo is still 100% further in our favor because we just clear the room and then everyone can move on to the next one.
Yeah. It's interesting though that because they're your level 7 cards, right?
Mm.
I also leveled up and looking at my level 6 cards, I am confused and I'm not going to read them out, but I was going to chuck something in our Discord just to ask for recommendations. And it's tricky because I get what they both do, but I'm just like looking at one going, that seems cool, but I don't want to jump through those hoops. And then looking at the other one going, that seems boring, but really, I don't know, mid, like it's good, but so I'm actually considering jumping back and getting a level 4 card.
Okay, so right now Gaz is level 6. He's just hit level 6. So they're the 2 cards he's got, whatever they are. Help Gaz out, and if he needs to get level 4.
Spinning Blades and Triage Program are the 2 cards that I'm looking at for level 6. And I don't think I want to do the Spinning Blades thing because I think I see what it's trying to do.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. That was kind of weird, wasn't it?
Yeah, I see what it's trying to do, and I know how to get around it killing itself, but I don't think it's that effective. And Triage Program is a heal. Like it's a big heal. It's a save your robots thing. It's a get around the map type thing.
So what's your level 4 option?
Plague Protocol, which is basically another robot, but it puts poison out.
Oh,
which
you don't need another robot, do you?
No, well, I mean, like it wouldn't be another thing I'm having out, right? It would be in place of something that I'm taking at the moment. But one of the things it can do is you can put it on you, and then you get poison on all your attacks.
Oh, okay.
Which I did go past the first time because I picked another damage attack, but now combined with that, the only negative is when I'm hit, I can't be healed.
Poison on all attacks?
Yeah, I just added poison to all my attacks, yeah.
Wow. Can that work on Mark's giant AoE?
No, my attacks.
Oh, okay. It was different. I think you put it on you, like as in me.
No, it's like a robot. If I am the robot, like I guess if you are the robot,
totally different.
Sure. Yeah, it's
No,
very different.
I'm not a robot.
I mean, if Mark has a transfer into a robot card, then sure, he can be the robot too. But yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So that's a little bit of class discussion. But yeah, it's interesting because I don't not think that either of the 6 cards are good, but I'm just looking at going, I don't think I want them, which happens sometimes, right? Like you get to a level and then you don't pick them. So
yeah, it's awkward though. I had that with my shackles when I got to like 6, 7, and it was kind of like, oh my god, I'm so excited. Ugh. It's like, this is useless meme. Now they're not useless, but it wasn't in line with how I was playing it and what I wanted.
Yeah. So
all right. So the last thing we're going to talk about is the scenario dot system. Now I want to thank Ricewind again, but he didn't message it to us in the topics. Iron Wine gave it to me, and he said, hey, Ricewind has been talking about this in the Frosthaven Outpost. So it's kind of like a weird thing where he was talking about it on the Frosthaven Outpost Discord, and then Iron Wine has seen this and then told me about it. So I think I'm crediting multiple people with it. What are your thoughts on the dot system? What is your idea of how it's defined in your own head? Or how do you think the developers are trying to define it?
I don't know. We had one interaction with this, and then we completely did never look at it again. I believe really early on, I reckon in our first 2 or 3 sessions, we did a scenario. I can't remember which scenario this was, but we did a scenario. We finished early-ish, right? And we've talked about how much time we've got. We went, maybe we do another one. Okay, cool. Let's look at one. Oh, okay. If we pick one with 1 dot, I wonder if that means that it's shorter. And then we picked it, and it was really long.
Yeah, I remember having that discussion.
I'm thinking that maybe it was... No, I wouldn't have been the first crab one because that wasn't that hard. But I don't know. I assume the dots are complexity, not length. And I assume from complexity, it probably has to do with the amount of mechanics and how hard it is to play, not how hard it is to complete.
Yeah.
So if that makes sense. So I think it's I don't know. Again, I'm guessing. I have no idea. I haven't looked this up at all. I would assume that it's a complexity rating, not a difficulty rating.
Yeah.
And also,
Okay.
it's not a length rating because we kind of proved that was not correct.
Yeah. What I haven't done is actually explain what the dots are in case anyone's actually never seen them. So up the top of every scenario, it gives you the name and the number of the scenario. There's a tiny little section under the actual title, and there's literally like 3 circles, and they fill them in. Basically, one if it's like Gaz said, considered to be maybe either a fast or a less complex one, and then there's 2 and then 3. So there's 1, 2, or 3 dots, and every scenario is assigned a dot with the funny thing being, I don't believe in the rule book, and if there is in there, that'll be amazing. But then this discussion becomes pointless. What they actually mean or what they refer to. And Ricewind, one of his things was his take on the complexity dots are 1 dot is the game's baseline. And none of this is right or wrong. It's just interesting to see what it is. So Ricewind says it's the game's baseline, so it can be won by moving and killing things, sometimes with a small twist, but nothing that alters how your character functions. So that's a 1 dot. 2 dots requires changing how you use your cards with special objectives or threats that mix up what's needed to win. Core game rules usually intact with the occasional tweak or addition. And then 3 dots, anything goes. Special rules can change any aspect of the game from stamina to the map. Characters might need to shift their game plan with every section read.
That's really cool. I like that. And Ricewind is great at breaking this down. Like I remember our discussion about what you need, resourcing. I can't remember what it was, but it was a really cool breakdown of like all the bits and pieces. And I love those discussions with him. Them. I'm not sure. I should say they. That sounds cool. And using that description, I'm gonna guess that the one we just did was 2 dots.
Well, it's funny you should ask that because I actually have a quiz for you guys.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. I love this. Yes.
I've pulled 17 scenarios.
17.
Oh, look,
Okay.
it might be fast, it may not. I don't know. I pulled 17 out, just ones that we've done, obviously. And you tell me what you think the dots are for it. And I will tell you how many you get right.
My prediction is probably this is going to take longer because I won't remember what scenarios they are.
I will remind you as I explain them. So
cool.
the first one is Relic, which is the one we've just done.
2.
It is 3.
3. Okay, cool. Cool. And this is purely, I'm only basing this off
Yeah.
Ricewind's kind of description, which I love. I love that as a thing. What I might do, actually, I'll give it 2. I'll give it 2 things. I'll do it based on what I think that was defined as, and then based on just what I thought that it was like easy to hard, right? Or complexity, low to high. Yeah, cool.
So you're giving me 2 2
Yeah,
dots?
yeah. Only if
Well,
they're
that's
different.
good. That's good. No, do it by you. Then do
Okay.
it by you or whatever, and we can discuss like how it compares to either Ricewinds or our
But
own
I
way.
like this better. I like that description.
Yeah, but then it
better.
confuses my
Okay.
quiz thing.
Okay,
and then,
all right. I'll just
all
do
right.
one then. Just
So far, you're 0 for 1.
2.
Okay.
2. All right. Yeah.
Scenario 72 was a giant block of ice.
2.
This was involve attacking a
Oh,
thing.
wait, hang on. If this was 3, see now I've got that. It's a scale, right? Like this is the thing. It's like working out your baselines. Like what's a 3 and what's a 1.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna go with a 2 still.
You would be correct.
Okay. Cool. Okay. Sorry. Interesting. So far, what have we learned? Discarding a top or bottom action to kick a sled across the thing, very hard, very complex.
Yes.
Standing next to something and attacking it,
Mm.
slightly easier.
Mm.
Makes sense, I guess.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
73. This is Flotsam. This is the one where everything's water and you're floating on these things. And then when you get towards the later part of the scenario, the Fish King spawns.
Yep. 3.
That is 2.
No way. Okay. All right.
Yep. So what have we learned?
Sure. Okay. Yep. Definitely then this is not a difficulty scale. Because that one was, I love that one. That was great. I had a really good time, but that was way harder than either of those other 2.
I agree with you, which is why the dot system will remain a mystery, kind of, right?
Okay, cool. Yep.
Scenario 14, Jagged Shoals.
I don't know, like NA? I mean, based on rules and stuff like that, like a 1?
It is a 2.
Okay, that's fair.
Scenario 21, Realm of Endless Frost. This is the Frost Prince one.
3. That's got to be a 3.
It is a 3. I feel like that kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
Like a lot.
100%. I think anything like that needs to be a 3, right? Anything with like multiple rooms, different rules on each room, like it's. But what's interesting is that one wasn't complex. It was hard, but it had lots of stuff going on, but everything made sense. But yeah, anyway. Yep.
Yeah. Scenario 42, which is the Sunless Trench, when we saw the Deep Terrors and we had the Night Demons and the Oozes that didn't know how to move.
Is it a fun rating or is it a difficulty rating?
That's a separate list.
2?
That's a 1.
Oh, okay, sure. I mean, actually, yeah. Again, I'm going away from my scale or from my rating system, which I stole off Ricewind. That should have been a 1. Yes, correct. Because you don't have to do anything any different. Yes, that should have been. That makes sense.
Apart from Survive.
Yes.
Scenario 49, Beneath Sea and Stone. This is the couch one.
Okay. Bubbles. I'm gonna say 3. It had bubbles. It had moving a couch. It had rocks in the way.
Would it surprise you? No, it's a 3.
Okay.
Good job. Scenario 45, Living Glacier. This is the one, the heist. Come off the boat, destroy the ice thing, make it back to the boat.
Well, based on the block of ice being a 2, I'm going to say this is a 2.
This is a 1.
What?
That was a $1. The one that we had to repeat and do 3 times.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yep.
52, Fleeting Permanence. My number 1 hated scenario so far. This is the last time we did a tier thing.
Is this
Moving dead bodies.
Around? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
2?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Scenario 60. We did this 2 weeks ago. Uniting the Crown. This was the very last lurker. The lurker one.
See.
Lieutenants.
2.
It's 2.
All right. I've got my eye in. I'm 5 for 5 now.
Oh, are you keeping track?
Yeah. I figure you.
What is 5 for 5? No.
Oh, sorry, 5 and 5. So yeah, I'm 5 and 5. Sorry. Yep.
Do I even have 17? Oh, yes, I do. It keeps going.
That's
Next page,
a
sorry.
lie, isn't it?
Scenario 65. This was the start of the Snowflake PQ. This is a strong foundation. This is the one where we got pushed back because of the we didn't have challenges back then. They pushed one, the Yetis were punching us back.
Oh, where the bone horde ping-ponged around everywhere?
Correct. And the last room has the orb in it with the ice wraith that was protecting it.
I'm going to say this is a 3.
It's a 1.
A 1.
It's a 1.
Wow. Okay. All right. No idea what
I'm with you. I wouldn't have guessed a lot of these as well.
No, but yes, you're right. No, it does because it doesn't. You don't change your cards. You just play your character. It's just got shit everywhere. It makes sense. Yes. Okay, it makes sense. I can see the logic there.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
107. My Private Empire. This is the 5 episodic side scenario.
Okay. So based on the system of it not changing how you play your cards, right? Like your cards just do the card thing. It should be a 1. I'm wondering if it gets a little bit of a bump because it has multiple rooms with lots of stuff going on. So I'm gonna say a 2.
But based on that, didn't you say that Realm of the Endless Frost was 3?
Yeah, because kind of. But that based on the same thing, it gets a bit of a bump because it's just got heaps of other shit going on. So I'm gonna say this is a 2.
You would be right.
Hey.
111. Ice Cave. This is the one with that mirror all the way down the middle. and the it was an escape one, I believe. It was kill the
Yeah.
dude, the
Kill the
Savassia, you
dude, then
remember?
escape. Yeah. There was no extra special rules with this from a player perspective. Like that was just the line up and do damage or don't do damage stuff, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
then when you pick up the broken cracked mirror or whatever,
Yep.
then whoever does that gets a second person.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's a 1.
That's a 3.
Okay. I have no idea. Like that is complex, right? But it's not a complex from a changing the way you play your character thing. It's more just move to the right places.
I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was probably the hardest part was, and we played at 3 people, which meant that we had 2 on one side and 1 on the other.
And then the wrong
So
person picked up the mirror.
correct.
Yeah.
It was great. Scenario 120, Under the Influence. This was the one where it was the stab yourself one. So
The
we had guards
million-
and hounds in the beginning, and then we had the room full of vermlings on the way, and we had to destroy the
One.
orb at the end.
Gotta be a 1.
That's a 1.
Yeah, okay. Yep. All right. 7 and 7. Okay.
Scenario 5. This is Frozen Crypt. This was a very early one.
Yeah, I
This is-
remember it.
Yep.
Yep. Ooh, that's a tough one. Because it's all just go and kill everything until you get to this point where you got to kill the thing.
You got to kill the orb because the frozen corpses are invulnerable.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with my gut and say a 1.
That one was a 2.
Okay. Yeah, I can kind of see that.
2 more.
Yep.
Number 9, Glowing Catacombs. This is a very long one that we did early on in, I believe, the Algox quest line. This is the one where you're Geminate exhausted on the
ooze.
way to the ooze room.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Ugh. Like I want to say a 1 because it's really just get to the end and kill everything. Except at the end, then that becomes really tricky because you got to mess around with the thing. So I don't know. I'll say a 2.
Yeah, it's a 1. Go with your gut.
Yeah,
Go with your gut.
I know. It's the scales throw me off, right? Like
Yeah.
like the one before that, which was kill everything and then kill the orb. I was like, that'll be a 1. Nope, that's a 2. It's like, okay. The next one, which is kill everything and then kill the oozes, kill the ooze switches. Okay, well then that would be a 2 then, right? No, that's a 1. So, okay.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
The last one, guys, is Scenario 27. We did this one a couple of weeks ago. It was called Depths of Delirium, and it involved a separate pile of cards that you had to put your hand in, or your cards in, when you got hit by a deep terror or you opened a door, kill an altar and get your cards back.
3. It's got to be a 3, right?
That's a 2.
Oh, you are kidding me?
No. And
Okay.
what's funny is the one before that, the Haunted Vault, which is the other one where... do
Buttons?
you remember that one? The
Yeah, yeah.
buttons. Yeah. That's a 3. I thought both would be a 3, just based on, I don't know, the overall complexity feeling of it. I don't know. And
Okay.
I was really surprised to see the 2.
I mean, so that's just a small sample size, right? But like, let's say there's 150 scenarios. It's, I don't know, 10% of them or so. So it's still a good snapshot, and I think you picked a good variety, right? Like that was tricky. I feel like I reckon the general feel that Riceman was on about in regards to how you play your character influences that. I think that's probably a good starting point. But I think that also feels like, again, just purely from the ones that you went through with me, there's also an element of like how complex is the scenario. So it's not purely based on how are you going to go about doing this? Like, are you just going to play your character? Are you going to play your character with an extra ability? Or, hey, is this shit just wacky and, you're doing all this other weird stuff? I think there's also just an element of like, how hard is it to figure out the right way of doing it, right? Like if every scenario was a puzzle, like how much time are you going to spend figuring out the puzzle? I feel like that's also an influence in it. Yeah,
I
interesting.
wonder if they could, if there's a world where it could be tweaked. And I've got a random thought right now of Guards of Atlantis, where every character you pick in Guards of Atlantis, okay, stay with me here. Each character has 8 separate bars, and their bars to show on a scale of like 1 to 5 what it's good at. You know, mobility and range, attacks and sustain, and all of that kind of stuff. Now we don't need 8, but would it be better to have almost like a guide at the top of just saying, you know, out of 3 or whatever, your length, you know, your complexity versus like there could be a way you could break down every scenario to give everyone an idea of kind of what to prepare for in that way.
Yeah, yeah. I think like it's like the back of the character cards where they've got like melee,
Yes,
range, support,
correct.
etc. Yeah, I think
That's
that'd
way
be really
easier. I could have just used that. Like,
it's fine. I think that would be really good. You could have you could have length, you could have complexity, and then I don't know what something complexity from a puzzle. No, you probably have length, complexity, and puzzle,
yeah,
right?
okay.
So like again, because I don't think difficulty is something that you can put in there because that's measured by so many other things like character
Correct.
classes, what all the other shit you do, right?
Yeah.
But you could definitely say like how much of a puzzle aspect is this? Like how much?
It's like the button one.
Correct.
Or the forward wood one, which is the one where you're lining up the lights in you pick 3 of them to triangulate. It's a puzzle, right? And some
Yeah.
don't have that at all, so that would make sense.
Exactly. And I think if we think about the last few that we've done, right, like this couch or the fridge one's probably a 2 because from a puzzle perspective, there are puzzle aspects, but you're really just picking which way you want to kick it, right, and then go on a line. Whereas the button one is a 3 because you got to do buttons, right? Like you have to figure out the combinations of those. But you're right. Like some scenarios just don't have anything. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Yeah. I mean, it kind of also ties into the conversation we had a while back, which was the complexity rating on the back of the characters.
Yes.
Like, what that means.
Yeah, and we were like, you know, how easy is it to read and understand what it's trying to do versus how well you can put all of that together to unleash a certain amount of potential that the character actually has.
Yeah. So maybe that's what the scenario complexity rating is because they're both dots and they're both called complexity ratings, right? Like maybe the complexity rating on the thing is like how easy is it to read this scenario and know what you are supposed to do? But that could just purely be it, right? So the ones that are like go kill the Frost Prince, right? I mean, that should be a 1, but it's probably getting bumped up to a 2. I don't know, maybe it's a 3. I can't remember what it was. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's definitely a any scale without defining the values of the scale is very, very wild. Like it's like
It is interesting.
scale between like 1 and infinity. It's a 9. We go,
I just love that
okay,
it's
good.
I just love that it's there. They've just thrown it in there and haven't said anything. And it's up to all of us to kind of work it
Figure
out,
it
maybe.
out. Yeah.
Yeah. You
That's
decide.
it. Nah, good
All
one.
right.
Good conversation.
So we will wrap it up there. Thank you very much for joining us on episode 62 of A Master's Degree in Rolling Terribly. I have been your host, Detty. I've been joined by Gaz.
And remember, when it comes to rolling terribly, it's all in the wrist.